Gachiakuta is a manga that is currently ongoing under Weekly Shonen magazine, the same magazine that has awesome series such as Tokyo Revengers and To Your Eternity. But they also have Rent a Girlfriend, and well, we all know how that one is.
He's pulling his cock out!
And you might ask, what makes Gachiakuta so special? Well, you could say that the author of Soul Eater and Fire Force naming Gachiakuta's author their successor could make this one considered special. Plus, it just has a similar style to Fire Force that I honestly just love. Also, I just wanted to mention what's up with these story concepts that come from these authors. Like, first we have firefighters that literally fight with fire, and now we have janitors that fight with trash. It can't be a coincidence. But if I have anything to say about Gachiakuta in particular, it's that it feels very unique and inspired, and I just had a blast reading it. This is Rudo. Rudo has had a tough life growing up, being abused from a young age to the point where his hands are left scarred and eventually losing his parents, leaving him emotionally closed and short-tempered. Not only that, but also being framed for the death of his foster father, Regto, and banished to the pit left him even more untrusting than before. And I think that plays into his love for trash because he can relate to feeling tossed aside and treated poorly. So he tries to repurpose discarded items and give them the care he feels they deserve, kind of like how Regto did for him. Because unlike most people in this world, he's able to find worth in things others have labeled useless. After finding out he's a giver, people granted abilities when forming an emotional bond with an item, Rudo then goes on to join a group named the Cleaners. The Cleaners are an organization that consists of givers that protect civilization from the dangerous creatures of the contaminated zones, called aberrant beasts. And with that, Rudo uses this as his opportunity to gain information to get back to his hometown in the sky that banished him, known as Heaven, and also to understand his powers better. Now, the thing I find really unique about this whole series is 1, the world itself, and 2, the abilities. And I'm going to start off by talking about the world because I just found it to be super interesting. It may come off as another kind of post-apocalyptic world, but something about it seems different. It could be because it takes place in essentially a huge landfill with towns in between, or maybe it's the fact that, to a certain extent, it's kind of a parallel to our own world since, in a sense, we too dump trash all over the place without concern for the repercussions. Because there is some relatability to the catastrophic long-term consequences of dumping garbage anywhere. Also, I feel like we don't really get too many series with this kind of post-apocalyptic vibe that are actually good. But all in all, I found the world and how the people inhabit it to be one of my personal highlights so far. Now, another element I loved about this series that I mentioned previously was the power system. It's not too overcomplicated like something along the lines of Hunter x Hunter or Jujutsu Kaisen's power system, which is good since sometimes I really get lost trying to comprehend what's going on in those.
Have you ever had a dream that you had?
But it's not always so simple either, since the complexity of the giver's ability usually varies between each user. Like, for example, there's an art ability for one of the characters that, for the life of me, I don't even really have a clear idea of how their ability works, except for the fact that it's like a protective charm. But on the other hand, we have somebody like Zanka, who uses a stick. But I'm sure there will be more layers to the ability as the series goes on. Rudo's ability in particular though was pretty badass to me, and it's pretty much a perfect fit for his character. His ability, if you didn't know, basically allows him to bring out the max potential of any discarded item. And how each item has been displayed so far is just really creative, and I appreciate that there's a huge variety to his power. Because in a lot of shonen, some power systems can become stale, and there's only so many times I can watch a character go Super Saiyan before I start to grow bored. The other characters' abilities as well are very diverse, from a chick that uses a gigantic pair of scissors to a guy that wields even an umbrella. And the battle scenes, even though at times felt like they were kind of hard to follow, still had me pretty immersed and excited to see how Rudo was going to use his ability next. I wanted to also mention that I really enjoyed the characters because they were pretty interesting. So far, Engine is my favorite other than Rudo, but there's not really much we know about them yet since at the time of this video there's only 30 chapters released. But I'm sure more of that will get touched on eventually since we're still technically in the early stages of the story. Also, I just really love the art style. You can totally tell just by looking at it that this person worked on Fire Force and has taken inspiration from it. And I'm all here for it, since I've been a fan of Soul Eater's art style since I started watching anime. And I'm sure there are others out there who aren't really a fan of it, especially the whole fisheye lens shots, but who cares, I like it. And with that, there's not much else I have to say on the series. I've had a ton of fun reading Gachiakuta and it has nothing but potential so far. And that's why I think this is the next big shonen and is probably likely to get an anime. Plus, I can already see a lot of these fights in anime form are gonna look so good. But overall guys, Gachiakuta is a series with a ton of potential and I'm excited to see where the story heads next. It's got cool characters, a really intriguing world, and fights that at times can sometimes be a bit hard to follow. Even so, it's still fairly new, so I'm hoping that it will maybe fix that issue over time. Also, this series has already won the Global Award in the Next Manga Awards 2022, and it doesn't even have an official translation yet. I don't know, I just thought that was pretty wild. But anyways guys, I want to hear your opinion. Have you read Gachiakuta yet? And if so, what did you think? Let me know down in the comments. And if you did enjoy the video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. It really helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter since that's where I primarily post updates on the channel. Anyways, that's all from me. Thanks guys. Later.